Well, this is such a big picture. There's so much filling the screen visually that we really want to complement it with what happens on the soundtrack.
I'd had the wonderful experience with Sam Raimi on The Gift. And so without seeing a frame of the footage for Spider-Man 3, I already knew kind of what to expect. And so that's one of the things that made me madly want to work with him on Spider-Man 3. His and my worlds are exactly the same. We're cut from the same cloth. I think we have a lot of the same dreams. I've done a lot of creepy movies in the past, and so I kind of felt confident that I could plunge into this world and come out with something that would address the heart of what this picture is all about. What happens is I watch the film a couple of times, once or twice, and then what I normally do is walk around with a picture in my head for a week or so if I've got the time, and just spit into a cassette machine any idea that comes into my head. You know, I'll have it by my side all the time. I'll hum into it, play at the piano into it, and culminate a whole ensemble of thematic ideas. And then I sort of pull the plug on it and go, okay, it's time to face the music or face the movie and see if any of them actually work. One requirement is to be able to think on your feet. I do it because, fortunately, by the time I get on the stage, I get to know what Sam is really, I get to know him well enough so he can talk to me in shorthand.
Yeah, 37, front row play over.
The amazing thing about when you work something out in your mind, ultimately it does affect the music in a positive way because all the ideas have to be organic and you will not allow yourself to put anything on paper that you can't actually hear in your head. And if you work it out successfully in your head, you can be pretty confident that it's going to sound fine on the stage. So when I got on the stage, I knew every single cue intimately because I'd written it and I'd actually worked out the orchestration in my mind. I was responsible for determining what are the flutes doing, what are the woodwinds doing, what are the contrabass saxophones that I had for the Sandman theme, what are they doing?
The hostage has been identified as Mary Jane Watson, an actress recently seen in a brief stint on Broadway.
As it turns out, the theme that I came up with for the black-suited Spider-Man, I mean, it was one of those wonderful moments. It came immediately. I saw the picture, and I think I ran to the piano, and it was the first idea I got. That's surprising, because usually what happens during those periods of thematic gestation is that 99.5% of them never make it into the movie. In this instance, I hit a home run. I'm kind of blessed. I mean, it was just quite a miracle.
I think Chris Young, he's like the Iron Man. He writes action amazing, and he did a fantastic job. So it was actually easy to work with his tracks because they told the story really well all on their own.
No, wait, sir, you don't want to do this.
I'm Kevin O'Connell, and I'm the sound mixer on Spider-Man 3. Sound mixing is where all three elements of the film, the dialogue, music, and sound effects, come together to create the voice of the film. It was great because Sam actually came to us when he was doing the script for Spider-Man 3 and said, hey, I want to put in some cool sound moments in this movie. And he came to us to say, how can we do it, and what should we do, and how can we work it out? And it was great, and it worked out really cool. Paul Otteson, being the supervising sound editor, starts on the film usually a few months before we do, and on this particular case, actually, I think he started about a year before we did.
I work a lot earlier with Sam. It's when they're working on the script very early on, and I do go and record a lot of the sounds myself and creatively come up with a concept. Well, I guess this is a tractor trailer.
3-axle tractor.
3-axle, a bunch of horsepower. It looks like it's about 15 years old. Seen better days, but I think this should be good. So we have one mic out kind of where the engine is, and we have one mic in the cabin here. We're gonna see how this works out. A lot of times you don't really know what you're gonna do. You try a couple of things, you got to record this and that, and it creates more ideas, and I really do enjoy that part. That's why I still keep the sound designing part as one of my tasks as well.
Paul created a unique palette of sound for all of the various characters in the film, and it's just like utilizing paint on a canvas. How much you use of each and every element determines the outcome of the piece.
So this is what I work with. It's a Pro Tools, as this program is called. I have my digital picture over here on this side. I can click anywhere on this timeline here, and you will see the movie follows. Then this section here, that's for Sandman. Every little modulation here is something that's been specifically cut for this moment when all these pillars goes by. And each sound, it's about a 15th of a second. And you see over time how all this, the machine is spinning, goes faster and faster. Then if I go down to a different track, there's a different sound. There will just be the motor kind of gaining speed, going faster. That helps out just the sound of the pillars going by. Here we have another sound for these pillars going by. And here's yet another layer of these pillars going by. So then you layer all this together, you end up with
The birth of Sandman sequence, Sam wanted a continuous growth from that original microscopic sand molecule to continue to grow throughout the sequence.
the sound of sand by itself is like white noise almost. And that is something we try not to have in movies, is these noises. So I went and bought this sugar, salt, rice, little beans, peas, cornflakes. They would give me different quality. Like the sugar would be very, very fine. And then when I poured like the coarse salt, it would be thicker sound, another layer. So try to blend all this element to make Sandman grow as he's growing in the movie.
We wanted the sand textures from the smallest microscopic sand granule, which is what the first shot starts off with, and then evolves into a fluid sand feeling.
I recorded boulders rolling and we just hitting, and as a shot we start up very, very close on it, and then we start pulling out, so the sound kind of reflected that by coming smaller and smaller into actually sand.
It's all kind of coming together in the shot in streams of sand that then inevitably form, and so we've got the mass of which is heavier, but there's a lot of delicate detail to all of what he is. So it's really from the smallest sand to the biggest boulder and everything in between to give him his sound.
My name is Gary Hecker. I'm the supervising Foley artist on Spider-Man 3. Since I was a kid, I've always liked sound, and I'm from the Midwest, Ohio, and I made my way out here to California to pursue being a Foley artist. We provide a lot of the sound and sound effects, things that weren't picked up on location. We mimic movements, actions, and different sounds to help make the film intense. First and foremost, we always start with the footsteps, so anything that Spider-Man does, his running, his jumping, when he shoots his web and it attaches, when he whooshes, all these different things, we have to come up with different sounds. So I physically have to put myself in Tobey Maguire's, literally in his shoes, and match all the actions. We've used these before on Spider-Man, and what it does, it just looks like an ordinary stick. It creates like a whoosh sound if something's flying. It creates like that, and if the action goes like, then you just go like that, but you're watching the screen. This stick makes a whoosh sound, right? But then you have different frequencies of whooshes, because if it's a thin little object, this actually makes a high piercing one. Okay, what we have here is, we kind of made these. These are just little leather strips that are cut up with scissors. And you have to get, it's action movie, so you got to get a lot of velocity in it. So if it's attaching, you'll watch the screen or your picture or whatever you're doing, and it goes, you know, and if it hits and flies away, like, and this was used in Spider-Man 3.
What I usually do is I go through and do a dialogue pass, and then I'll back up and do a music pass, and I don't listen to any sound effects at that point.
The actual killer is still at large.
What are you talking about?
This is the man who killed your husband.
And then Greg will go in and listening to the dialogue and the music, do his sound effects pass.
Peter, it's MJ.
These are BGs 1, 2, 3, and 4. Usually all the traffic's on 1, all the airs are on 2. Office interior people wallas are in 3. Then we've got police backgrounds in 4. So that they're separate, yet we still have control over all of them. And then all the effects pre-dubs, we have a total of 17 effects pre-dubs. All the explosions are separate from the trains, separate from all the impacts, all the web shoots, all of the Spidey whooshes are all separated. So this is my kind of roadmap as to where did we put everything, you know. And so when he says, can you lower that metal impact, I know that it's on effects pre-dub 5, and that shows up here. And all of these correlate to these faders in front of me.
Then we go back together and watch the whole reel through, and then kind of decide, hey, maybe we should back off on the sound effects here, raise the music here, or back off on the dialogue here, raise effects here. And then we get together for what's called the final mix, where we're all in the room with the director, the producer, the film editor, the composer usually, and the sound editors, and together we sit and create what you see when you go to the movies. Our biggest challenge in Spider-Man 3 or any action adventure is trying to figure out what to hear at what time during the movie, because you've got these big action scenes going on that have got people screaming or talking or yelling, and then you've got sirens and bullets and car chases going on, and at the same time you've got musical score going on, and if we play them all up here, it's just going to sound like a train wreck. So it's trying to figure out the delicate blend to figure out what you want to hear at what particular moment.
What the sound designer and my editor Bob Morosky try and do is really create a unique experience for the audience. Something that is not just a wall of sound, but something that has absences and that can be very sweet and tiny at times. Something that uses the space, the surrounds, something that can pan from speaker to speaker. Really try and give the audience the full range of sound as far as movement and dynamics.
This movie is an 8-track configuration, meaning that there's a left, center, right, right. There's 5 speakers across the screen, and then there's stereo surrounds, and then we have our subwoofer track. If a car is driving left to right, in pre-dubbing, we've panned it already, we've equalized it, we've determined the level, but that can change in final mix because I still have control of it right here.
Sam is more connected with the soundtrack of his movies than 90% of the other directors we work with, maybe even 95%. He's so connected. And Sam ultimately becomes a driving force in what he wants to hear at any one moment. He's very open to listening to our suggestions, but he really is the ultimate voice in how that's going to play, and he's very into it. We're all here to do one thing, which is help tell the story. You know, the cinematographer does it with his camera, the art director does it with his set decoration, art decoration, and we do it through the use of sound.